The Russian Revolution was a period of political and social revolution that took place in the former Russian Empire, which began during the First World War. The Russian Revolution, which took place in 1917, was one of the most explosive political events of the 20th century. The violent revolution marked the end of the Romanov dynasty and centuries of Russian imperial rule. During the revolution, the Bolsheviks, led by the leftist revolutionary leader Vladimir Lenin, seized power and destroyed the tradition of Tsarist rule. The 1917 revolution swept through Russia, ending centuries of imperial rule and setting into motion political and social changes that would lead to the formation of the Soviet Union. While the revolutionary events lasted a few months, social unrest in Russia had been simmering for decades. In the early 1900s, for instance, Russia was one of the most impoverished countries in Europe, with an enormous peasantry and a growing minority of poor industrial workers. The Russian Empire practiced serfdom. Serfdom is a form of feudalism in which landless peasants were forced to work on the lands of land-owning nobles. In 1861, the Russian Empire finally abolished serfdom. The emancipation of serfs would lead and will create and influence the events leading up to the Russian Revolution by giving peasants more freedom to organize. Between the 1890 and 1910, the population of major Russian cities such as St. Petersburg and Moscow nearly doubled. This was as a result of industrialization, which resulted in overcrowding and destitute living conditions for a new class of Russian industrial workers. Russia entered into the World War I in August 1914 in support of the Serbs and the French and British allies. Their involvement in the war would soon prove disastrous for the Russian Empire. The February Revolution, as the revolution was known, and most of us would question why the revolution is termed as the February Revolution and it occurred on March. This is because the Russians before February 1917 used the Julian calendar. The events on the normal calendar occurred on the 8th of March 1917, but the date then, according to the Julian calendar, was 23rd February 1917. Demonstrators clamoring for bread took to the streets of Petrograd. Supported by huge crowds of striking industrial workers, the protesters clashed with police but refused to leave the streets. The Russian Revolution paved the way for the rise of communism as an influential political belief system around the world. It set the stage for the rise of the Soviet Union as a world power that would go head to head with the United States of America during the Cold War. And that, my friends, is the event that graces our Today in History segment.